Imagine this. You spend 10 years building a life. You have a great career, you buy a home, you're raising your child in a country you've come to love. And then one day, you're told it was all a misunderstanding. You have to leave.
Well, this isn't a hypothetical. It's the real story of Miss Liang and her family. She came to Australia, she got her master's degree, landed a fantastic job, and her daughter was thriving in school. I mean, by any measure, she was the poster child for a successful immigrant story.
But when she applied for a new student visa to get her MBA and move even further up the career ladder, she got a flat-out rejection. Why? The government basically said, "We don't believe you." To really get why, we need to rewind and look at the life she built over the last decade.
So here's the timeline of her life in Australia. It all looks pretty straightforward, right? Comes as a student in 2013, gets her master's, gets a skilled work visa. She's doing everything right. But I want you to look really closely at that 2018 entry, a withdrawn application for permanent residency. That one little detail, it's like a ghost from the past that's about to come back and completely derail her future.
So in 2019, her work visa was running out, and she applied for a student visa to pursue an MBA. And that's the moment her Australian dream just slammed into a brick wall. The immigration department said no. And that single no kicked off a massive, years-long legal battle for her family's entire future in the country.
So you have to be asking why. Why the rejection? Well, it wasn't some random decision. The government had built what they believed was a rock-solid case against her. And here's the crazy part. They used her success, her deep roots in Australia, as the main evidence that she had to go.
The whole thing really boils down to this one legal term, the Genuine Temporary Entrant Requirement, or GTE. Basically, for a student visa, you have to prove that you genuinely, truly intend to just study for a bit and then leave. It's not about what you say your plans are, it's about what the story of your life suggests your real intentions are.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. You have two completely opposite interpretations of the exact same life. Missy Liang is saying, look, I need this MBA for my career when I go back home. But the government looked at the very same facts and said, nope, you're a resident, not a student. This MBA is just a tactic to stay in a country you have no intention of ever leaving.
And you've got to admit the evidence the government brought to the table was pretty powerful. Almost a decade straight in Australia, owning property, her daughter in an Australian school. And there it is again, that giant red flag, the old application for permanent residency. But the real kicker? She only actually enrolled in her MBA course 10 days before her appeal hearing. To the tribunal, that didn't look like a long-term plan. It looked like a last-ditch effort.
But Ms. Liang just wasn't having it. She absolutely refused to let them define her life that way. So she decided to fight back. And this wasn't just a legal appeal anymore. It became a deeply personal battle. One woman versus a massive impersonal system.
And here is what's just incredible about her fight. She did it completely on her own. Through appeal after appeal, all the way to Australia's federal court, she hired exactly 0 lawyers. It was just her, standing up and fighting for her family.
This quote, which she claims the tribunal officer said to her, really gives you a window into her whole experience. You can feel her frustration. She believed the system had its mind made up before she even walked in the room. And that feeling of injustice, that sense of not being truly heard, is what fueled her to keep on fighting, no matter how bad the odds looked.
But her personal sense of what was right and wrong, well, it was about to run headfirst into the cold, hard reality of how the legal system actually works.
Okay, this is a super important point to understand. When a case like this gets to a high court, it's not a do-over. The judge isn't there to decide if the original visa denial was fair or if they would have made the same choice. The process is called a judicial review, and its only job is to check one thing. Did the original decision-maker follow the law and the rules correctly? That's it.
And this quote from the judge herself, Justice Sarah Darrington, just says it all. The court's job isn't to be a referee on the facts of her life. It's to be an umpire on the legal process. It's a really critical difference, and one that's easy to miss if you're representing yourself.
So, the judge just systematically went through Ms. Liang's arguments. Did the tribunal ignore the facts? Nope. The court said they considered everything, they just came to a different conclusion. Did they get the law wrong? Nope. The court found their decision was reasonably open based on all the evidence. Was the whole thing unfair? And the court's answer was basically, fairness isn't what we're here to decide. On every single point, the court found no legal error to fix.
And with that, it was over. The appeal was dismissed.
After years of fighting for Ms. Liang and her family, the legal road in Australia had officially come to a dead end. Now, while her story is a personal tragedy, it's also an incredibly powerful lesson. It's filled with these crucial takeaways for anyone, anywhere, who's trying to navigate a complicated immigration system.
So what can we all learn from her struggle? Well, there are 4 really big lessons here. First, true intent is king. They're going to look at your entire life story, not just what you write on a form. Second, building a successful life can be a double-edged sword. All the things that feel like success, a house, a great job, can be twisted to look like you never planned to leave. Third, consistency is key. Any contradiction between past and present applications can destroy your credibility. And finally, you have to know the limits of the court system. An appeal can't save a factually weak case. It can only fix a broken process.
At the end of the day, this whole story leaves us with this one really tough question. For anyone who moves to a new country trying to make a better life, where is that line? In the cold, impartial eyes of the law, at what exact moment does the noble act of building a life get reinterpreted as the deceptive act of hiding an intention?